don't got time for a hater. Only got time for the paper. I don't got time. I don't got time. I don't got time for a hater. No, I don't got time for a hater. Every day a struggle, I was walking around with pain and doubt. Only got time for the paper. Gotta love the journey. If you don't, you're not gonna make it out. I don't got time for a hater. Every day a struggle, I was walking around with pain and doubt. Only got time for the paper. Gotta love the journey. If you don't, you're not gonna make it out.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Entrepreneur Spotlight. And this guy right here doesn't really need much of an introduction, but I'm going to introduce him. Mr. Bad Boy, Husana Bad Boy. He was the pick of making the band. And what else you been doing?
LA Fitness basketball court, the green bag.
Oh, that's right. I mean, we met on the
way before making the band
in
days.
LA Fitness.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna introduce Donnie Klang.
Thank you for having me on. This is a long time coming. It's great to reconnect with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a minute.
How many years has it been?
Yeah, I don't know. It could have been 10. When you said 10,
yeah,
I'm
I think it's been like 10 years.
And then I was thinking about it because 2013 is 10 years ago.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
That's crazy, man. Time flies. And you're a father now.
It's father to two, yeah. So
Two?
That's me now. I got 2 girls, yeah.
Oh, man. 2 girls. Oh, man.
Yeah.
They gave you girls.
Girls,
yeah,
of
that
course.
means you.
I know.
Yeah. Good luck, man.
It's a handful, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna when they hit like teenage years, I'm probably just gonna check out and just leave or
Yeah.
put them in nun school or.
Oh, man.
I got time to figure it out.
That means you were running around with the ladies. For you to get 2 girls, it's like that means you must have been doing. That means
saying.
that bad boy thing must have.
It was a crazy lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So so for anybody watching that doesn't know me, my name's Donnie Klang.
Mm-hmm.
We are in my recording studio. It's the Loft Sound Studio. I go way back with Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
We used to play ball, work out.
Do you remember the first time we met? Like
the first time?
That kind of sounded like I was talking to a girl, man. No, but the first, like how we actually met. Do you remember? I remember.
Was it at LA or was
it was at LA
park?
Fitness.
I don't remember the exact situation.
You were on the bench press.
Okay.
And I
Couldn't
come
lift
up.
it off me.
No. You were good. You were working out. You were doing your thing, and I really didn't know who you were. So I seen you on the bench. I came over. I needed the bench also. So I'm like, yo, how many reps you got?
Okay, I do remember this.
Yeah, then you're like, oh, I got whatever sets, and you're like, you want to jump in? I was like, cool. So we started working out.
Yeah.
And then I seen the tattoo on your arm.
That's right.
Then you had a microphone on your arm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so up here.
Yeah, so I seen the microphone on your arm, and I'm like, okay. And that's when I was in the music industry, running around and doing some things. So I was like, this dude sings? What does he do? Like that microphone looks like. I was like, he looks like a singer. I don't think he's a rapper.
That's exactly what happened. I remember it now.
Yeah. So then I was like, what do you do? And then you were telling me what you did.
Because back then, people would recognize me from the show more.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes when I start conversations, I'm like, all right, the person probably knows.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like they watched the show or they know Diddy, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, you just genuinely didn't know. And
Nah,
it was
I
like,
didn't.
it was cool.
It was a cool
Yeah.
connection, and we just started working out, and we were working out like that.
Yeah.
So
I remember. Damn.
yeah, man.
That's got to be even longer than 10 years ago.
Yeah,
That's probably like
it was
12, 13 years ago.
it was a while, man. But I did do a little homework on you, man, and I did see that you are originally from Brooklyn.
Yeah, Canarsie.
You are?
Yeah.
I'm originally from Brooklyn.
Really? What part?
Bed-Stuy, Tompkins.
Okay. Damn.
Tompkins Projects.
Wow.
Yeah. Trooper Myrtle.
Damn.
So Canarsie, I never knew you. Canarsie,
So,
oh shit.
Yeah, growing up in Canarsie was like, obviously in the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
you had to be a Biggie fan. I was a huge Bad Boy fan.
Mhm.
Like, it was just all, my whole life, like, led up to the stuff that ended
Mhm.
up happening with Diddy. I had to actually be a closet Tupac fan
Mm-hmm.
because you had to be Biggie,
Uh-huh.
being in Brooklyn in the 90s. But I was a huge Tupac fan, too. It was
Yeah.
like the Dear Mama song. That was like me and my mama
Tupac's the
song.
truth.
And, yeah.
I mean,
But yeah,
he's a
Brooklyn in the
poet.
90s is different.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made me who I am.
Yeah, man. So that, I mean, I guess that's where you got it from.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and the connection with Brooklyn. I don't know. I connect with a lot of people from Brooklyn,
Yeah.
man. Brooklyn's a great place for me.
Yeah.
You know, my childhood and everything or whatever. But
Yeah, that's what sparked music, basketball. It's like that's where it came from.
yeah, so take us through your journey, man. I want to know, like, from the beginning, like, how did Donnie Klang get introduced to wanting to become the singer?
Yeah, it was probably. So I mean, anybody watching, it's like you got to go back to pre-internet, pre-computers, and even pre-CDs. I remember my first things I would do was like with cassette tapes, recording intros to songs off the radio, and then trying to take it, loop it on the other side cassette tape to start looping out to make a beat out of it. And that I was doing that at like 5, 6, 7 years old with the
Holy
little
shit.
My First Sony thing. So that's probably the beginning. My parents were divorced, but they both, whenever I was with each of them, were big on just oldies music. My dad was more on the doo-wop oldies, and my mom was like 70s, 60s soul.
Oh, that's
music.
good. That's
And
part
then
where you got it from?
Yeah, and then for me, it was like, I mean, we grew up in the best generation to ever grow up.
Yes.
Musically, it's like
We
we
have.
had the powerhouse singers. I was obviously big on like the groups Boyz II Men, Drew Hill, Jodeci. That's what I grew up on, and then hip hop becoming what it became. It's like we got to grow up with that.
Nah, hip hop was
that's
really
what
at like a crazy time around the 90s. I feel like the 90s was really raw.
Yep.
And you got that the lyrics, the lyrical content was
Yep.
there. And then, well, now it's more so of just beats, producing, dancing, and making TikTok videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was a different time. I mean, even just like hip hop coming out of the 80s, and because I mean, I like those songs, but I feel like there was a little bit of corniness to even just the flow of like early hip hop. It was very like stiff and rigged. And,
Oh,
like,
yeah. I mean,
and
it
then-
evolved.
Yeah, it evolved.
Yeah,
And
it
the
was starting
90s
out.
Was like that's when it got figured out, and to like be a part of that growth was like you can't, especially living in Brooklyn.
Oh, of
That's like,
course, man.
it's different. We have different memories walking around with like the Walkmans or the Discmans. And it's different.
Nah, I love hip hop. Growing up, listening to music. Music was pretty much my life,
Yeah.
man. I loved it.
Yeah, me too.
So. Take us through, you know, how did you get to making the band? You know?
Yeah, so it started a couple years before that. Making the band was 2007. In high school, this is like 2000, 2001. I sang in a group. It's actually my business partner now, Matthew Laporte. There was the two of us plus 3 other guys. We were singing in a group, and we got signed with Beyonce's dad, Mathew Knowles. And not many people even know this part of my journey, but that was my first
I didn't even
dealings.
know
Yeah,
that.
that's my first
I never
dealings
knew
with
that.
like the actual industry part of the business. So we were all minors. We were under 18, so our parents, lawyers had to be involved. And the way we met him was this is, like I said, prior to the internet, prior to social media. We had to go out in public to try to get fans. So we would just dress the part, look like we were NSYNC or the Backstreet Boys.
You didn't get a camera guy or whatever?
Yeah, no, I don't even know if we had cameras back then. It was the big ones.
Yeah,
with
the
like,
big joints
yeah.
that you put on your shoulder.
So we might have footage of some of that. I got to try to track down, but we just would go out to malls or like just venues where we knew there was singers coming to town. And we were at Roosevelt Field Mall, and there was a girl group playing at the Sam Goody, which was in the basement, which is a CD store for people that don't know.
Yeah, I know. They don't have that anymore, right?
No.
Yeah.
So there was like Tower Records, Sam Goody. So we went there. They were doing an in-store performance, and we just started singing a cappella. We had like really good harmonies. Like I said, I grew up on Boyz II Men and all that, so we were singing in the back of the crowd, and the whole crowd ended up turning and then kind of like bombarding us, like they thought we were somebody's. So
Which you were.
we kind of, I mean,
Which
we
you
were
were.
trying to be.
You were.
So the manager comes out and he's like, "You guys can't be doing this," because they came out to perform and nobody was paying attention.
So you sabotaged their whole show.
Kind of.
Their whole
So
set.
the security comes, the manager comes out, he pulls us backstage. He's like, "You can't be doing this." He's like, "But who are you guys, by the way?" And we were like, And then
New edition.
Yeah. We're actually boys. We're men to boys. So he ended up being Mathew Knowles. He managed that girl group, and then he told us he's Mathew Knowles. And at the time, it wasn't even Beyonce. He was managing Destiny's Child. So it was good and bad because we learned at a young age. We signed with him, but you're the biggest manager in the business because of the act that made you the biggest manager in the business. So he's managing his daughter. She was getting ready to go solo from Destiny's Child. His plate was full, and he barely had time to really work on our project. Occasionally, he'd send us out to do a national anthem at an NBA game or work with this producer in the city or New Jersey or something, and then we would get excited. We're kids, 15, 16 years old, and then it would be a crazy weekend of like, oh my God, we just worked with this Grammy Award-winning dude, and then back to school and back to regular life and back to the kids making fun of us because like we thought we had this big thing happening, and then it just seems like it's dragging out.
It was just stepping stones, man. It was stepping stones, and I mean, I'm sure it's exciting.
Yeah,
it's exciting
yeah,
at 15 years old, going out to do that experience alone.
Yeah,
is worth more than probably just being compensated.
I mean, that's even like I think back. I did 1 year at college. And I feel like I learned more from my hands-on experiences through that, through some other dealings. Like, just this is anybody trying to make it in the business, and especially nowadays with Instagram, it's like you'll see the sharks starting to come out in the DMs, and you don't know what's real, what's fake, who's like just trying to get money, who's like a scam.
Oh my God!
And it was like that back then too. It just wasn't through DMs on Instagram. It was in real life when you met somebody somewhere, and it's like they promise you this, and
the industry is a bunch of sharks.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of sharks in there, and if you don't know what's real and what's fake, you're gonna learn a lot of expensive lessons.
Yeah, totally, and we did. We went through it. We worked at a studio sometimes. So the deal with Mathew Knowles was through Sony, so we were technically signed to Sony. It was called a development deal. Yeah, so we were signed with them. A year turned into 2 years, turned into like what's happening, and then it turned into here we were graduating high school, and one of the kids in our group actually got homeschooled because we were being told like, no guys, get ready, you're gonna like be prepared because you're gonna be going on the road. And then months would go by. So now we're in this group, we're kids, our parents are involved, it's turning into a business, lawyers are involved, and then the friction starts because it's like who is going to go to college, whose parents are like, no, we're traditional, like you're going to school, you're staying in school or whatever. So we started fighting, we broke up. The deal fell through with Mathew Knowles after a couple of years.
How did it, like, he was good, he just released like you, or
fizzled out? It was you could just kind of tell. It was just like, I think actually contractually it made it past whatever whatever it was. I was young back then, but it was either a 2 or 3 year initial deal, and the 2 or 3 years were up. So it just kind of like ended, and then we went through a few years of like maybe trying to do it. We had a couple of us that made a new group, and we kept trying to do it, and it was tough, but it was like all stepping stones, like you said. It was all learning experiences. We did a bunch of shows like Glen Cove Middle School and little elementary schools and a bunch of local stuff. Worked our way into like a Z100 like thing. Back then they used to do a bunch of auditions and stuff, and we just learned so much.
Well, you didn't realize you were building your fan base, and you didn't even know it.
Yeah.
You're building it from school, you're building it from all the places you're going to, and that's the marketing.
I even tell artists that I work with now, it's like those fans that I got back then, they followed me through the whole making the band journey. They followed me when I opened my own business. They were like, it was more than fans. It was like like they
It's like family.
grew with us. Yeah, it's like I follow these people on Facebook. I see now they're growing up and having kids.
That's dope, man. That's like the fans of Wu-Tang. I was just telling my son about that the other day. Like Wu-Tang fans, they're loyal. Yeah. Like they rode with Wu-Tang. Yeah, they rode with them all the way to right now. They still.
I mean, Staten Island too is just like it's its own Brooklyn. Like,
yeah, I know. It's like, just like that big on the side.
But yeah, we did some stuff in Staten Island too. Like we just went through the ringer of like an ex-NBA player that had money that was maybe going to invest, and then like Don King's partner that came on and got involved, and we went through it. I went through so much before making the band that by the time making the band came, I didn't even realize how ready I was for
how many years until now? Take us through now from there. How many years until now you go into making the band, and so how that even like how you even got to get to that point? Right. You know?
Yeah, so I was doing like the groups in school, and then right after school, it was probably about 6 or 7 years or so of just like trying to make it, broken promises, almost making it, deals that were on the table. And then 2007 was the making the band audition. And at that time, our groups were pretty much done. I was in 2 groups growing up, and it was like at that point, it was like, all right, what are we doing with our lives now? We're like 22, 23, getting to that point where it's like, are we still doing this? So we were broken up. I went on the Making the Band audition, and then
it was held here in New York?
It was in the city, yeah. So me and one of the guys from the group went to the audition. It was just an open call, same as like American Idol, same thing. Just went. I went in. I tried to like dress the part, look the part, and real quick, it was Mike Bivens the first day from New Edition. Crazy you even said that.
Yeah.
I sang one line. I didn't even get a chance to show that I was like a little nervous. And he's like, "Dude, you're good. Come back tomorrow." And that was it.
He probably looked at you and was like, "He's marketable."
I think that's what they were going off of.
Yeah, we could make money off this pretty guy.
And there was like, I don't even know, 50,000 people, and it was just they must have been just trying to go quick.
50,000.
Yeah, the first day. The second day, it was then now it's like 110 people, and it's like the cream of the crop from New York, and I'm like, oh my God. Like I hear the person in the room before me, and he's like riffing his face off, and I'm like, oh, what am I even doing here? This is crazy. And I was real nervous, and I sang something. I forget even what it was. It was the song I had prepared wasn't on the list, and I didn't even know that. They were like, you got to sing one of these from this list. So I just picked something that I like barely knew, and I sang it. And I remember them saying, all right, it was Lori Ann Gibson. She was the choreographer. She's like a pit bull. It was this vocal coach who was like a pit bull. Mike Bivens was on my side. It was like a producer of the show. Joe, the singer Joe, was one of the judges. B. Cox, big producer, he was one of the judges. They were like, you're close, dude, but you just got to work on it a little more. And I remember specifically, I turned around, I'm on the way to walk out, and I'm like, I can't let this go down like this. And I'm like, back. I don't know if you could just not air this, but let me just sing the song I had prepared. They were like, Lorian's like, come on, take your loss like a man, take your loss like a man. And I just grabbed the mic and I started singing it was Shy, If I Ever. And
that's dope that you did that, man.
Mike Bivens was like, let him sing, let him sing. And I was nervous as hell, and I went up to the table, and I'm like touching Lori Ann Gibson's face. Meanwhile, she's yelling at me to leave, that I already was cut. And something happened, and they were like, all right, you're going to get through to the next thing. And then I made it past that. And none of that ever aired because the song wasn't cleared for the show. But then I made it past those next rounds. And
that's dope, man. You seen the opportunity and you shot your shot. And no matter, regardless of what, and look, it happened. And they ended up picking you, right?
Yeah, so then I made it through the season. And there was another brief moment where I thought I lost. There was the finale where Diddy picks the group.
Yeah, I seen.
And then, so it's the 5 guys that made the group. I thought I was out. And then there was a surprise announcement. Diddy was signing me solo.
Yeah, they picked the 4. Yeah. And then he was like, I'm giving Donnie a solo deal.
Yeah, so he put together Day 26 was the group. The previous season was Danny Kane, so it was always groups. He never did the solo thing, and then he signed me solo. So it was a crazy couple of years.
How was that feeling, man?
that was, I mean, the only feeling that's topped that since then was having my
Your
two
child?
daughters. Yeah.
That's dope.
Before
man.
that was just the top moment. It's like it was deeper than just like getting signed. It was like this was the dream I had since what we were talking about in the beginning. Like
Yeah.
a little 4-year-old kid with my first Sony. Like
Listen, that feeling has got to be. I don't even know if anybody could probably explain it.
Yeah.
Like, you probably won't be able to explain it. But
it was just the weight, the pressure of like. I mean, growing up too, is we didn't have money. It was we moved a lot. I moved like 20-something times with my mom all over the place.
Mine is like 30-something.
Damn.
So
Yeah.
I moved a lot.
Yeah. So it's like when something like that happens, it's bigger than just getting a deal. It's like
No, that's dope, man. And that whole situation, kind of like what happened with.
So I mean, even that whole situation, it was another big stepping stone and a learning experience.
Learning lessons, man. Learning lessons, and
it was a bigger learning experience.
You were signed to Bad Boy, right?
Yeah.
Signed to Bad Boy, and then now you wanted to sign to another. You were going to sign to another label, which
there was a lot of mistakes made on the business side, and this was, like I said, another learning experience. I had my mom pretty heavily involved, and we got signed very unconventionally. So it was through a TV show. Back then, that didn't really happen as much. So we got signed before we even had managers. So now we're trying to go out and interview managers. I sat down with Troy Carter, who wasn't yet, but he ended up being Lady Gaga's manager.
Okay.
I sat down with Scooter Braun, who wasn't yet, but he ended up being Justin Bieber's manager.
Wow,
and I
some
sat
big
down
names
with a whole
there.
bunch of these people, and then Diddy came, and I had to choose between two people that he put on the table for me, and they were just. He was great. This guy was like, he became like an uncle to me, this guy, but he was in Diddy's pocket.
Yeah.
It wasn't like one of these other guys.
But that's
that were
what Diddy
outside that
wanted.
would've
That's
fought.
why Diddy gave
exactly.
you. He gave you the manager that he can work with.
Could control
that works best for him.
So it was tough, and then kind of strung it out. They never opened up the budget for my second album. I had another deal on the table with Def Jam, but I wasn't technically out of my Bad Boy deal. But Def Jam opened up a budget, flew me down to Atlanta for like 6 months. I worked with the Corner Boys and a bunch of producers down there. I was in and out of studios, Ludacris, Usher. It was like I was just running into people. I was in that Atlanta scene for a little bit. I cut like 10 songs. I came back, and it took too long to get out of my Bad Boy deal. And then by the time I got out, I had already actually opened up here. We opened up in 2011. I think I got out of
You
my
had
deal
another
in
spot, right?
2012.
Was it another spot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we opened up in Plainview, which is like 10 minutes from here. And then we just thankfully started growing through the years. And
wow.
yeah.
That's a crazy story,
This
man.
basically took the place of being an artist because it wasn't even the initial goal. It was just like, so the story of our studio now is me and my best friend, my business partner. This is the true story of this. My music career was slowing down, and I had to figure out a way to make money that wouldn't have been embarrassing back then because I was still being recognized, and it was like, what am I gonna do? Like be a waiter somewhere, and people are gonna be like, oh, can we take a picture with you? And can we also get more breadsticks? Like, it was a really awkward time for me.
I mean, at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I know.
But I see where you're coming from.
Yeah,
So
I did. My friend Matt had his construction company, and then it was a little more private. I would just go on jobs with him and help him, and it was in private homes. And once in a blue moon, maybe the owner of the house would be like, "Aren't you Donnie for making the band?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, you need more paint on this? Want me to put a second coat?"
Hey, listen, man.
Yeah.
I feel like what you went through in your journey of the music in the music industry.
Yeah.
And it may not have worked out where you think it worked out best for you, but I honestly think that whole journey was a way for you to teach and for you to have this, and now you have the experience, because we all go through shit in life, you know what I'm saying? And the things that we go through in life may not seem like it's working out best for us,
Yeah.
but it's actually preparing you to do something else.
Yeah.
So the universe gave you that gift
Totally.
of experience to put you in front of other people and maybe help guide other people into the industry and where they
100%.
need to be.
Yeah.
Because I see you developing a lot of other artists,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So then once we opened, one of the first, we weren't even sure if it was gonna be a business. So what happened was Matt's wife owned a dance studio, and she was moving locations, and Matt had his construction company that was doing the work for her. So I was working for him at the time, and her location was in Plainview, and they had a loft that she wasn't gonna use.
That's
So
where the
that's
name.
where we opened the Loft Sound Studio.
Is that
Was
where the
up in
name
that-
came
yeah,
from?
that's where it came from.
Okay.
And then you can't even make this up. It was like the first night we finished. Like I said, we took our home studios and just moved it in there to have a space that we could go do our stuff. That wasn't. He had kids back then, and it wasn't gonna wake up the kids when we were coming in and trying to create and make stuff. So we put the studio in. We went out. We were playing basketball at a spot actually close to here in Syosset, and we would go eat beforehand. And we were at the sushi restaurant, and the bartender recognized me for making the band and was like, "Oh, my daughter sings." We were like, "Oh, we own a recording studio," and she was like, "What's your prices?" And we literally looked at each other like, we'll let you know tomorrow."
We'll email you.
Yeah, we just literally that day built the studio. So that girl came to us, and then videos kind of came with the territory of opening a studio, especially back then with YouTube, and obviously the way social media has grown through the years. It's like we had to do videos, so we quickly had to learn that, and then we just her putting a video out would lead to the next girl that was either friends with her or family or something, and then that led to our next client. And then what ended up happening was the owner of that sushi restaurant, his daughter is Madison Beer, who is probably the biggest girl that came out of our studio. So she ended up coming to us. She was going to School of Rock, and she said that that's not her style. She wants more like pop music, and we were like, that's what we do. So she came to us. We developed her for like 8 or 9 months, and then she started blowing up on YouTube. She got signed with Justin Bieber.
Oh, that's dope.
We had our logo on all the videos we were doing for her, and Justin was sharing her videos, and it was like free promo. It was,
That's great.
She was doing her videos in our studio. It was like promo for our studio from Justin Bieber. So that was huge for us. And then she blew up. The bigger she got, the bigger our business got. And then we had just like little successes through the years that made it on like The Voice or American Idol or X Factor. And every time we get one of those little successes, it would lead to more people coming to us. And it's like the base of it, like you just said, it's just been a genuine place for me to share my experience.
Everything was just lining up for you, man, for your journey.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. That's a dope story.
Yeah.
And right after you opening up your studio, you end up going to the sushi spot.
Same day. It's crazy.
That's crazy. Like the universe is crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Like the way it works. Now, question: what is the biggest misconception that you may think other people may have on the music industry?
I mean, it's definitely that you think getting a deal is it. That's it. Like, I made it. I got a record deal. It's like a lot of people think that's the end all be all and that's it. We had an artist that we brought into Republic Records about a year ago. She has like 60,000 followers. She gets a good amount of streams. She gets good views on all her videos she puts out. She has a nice little local fan base and strong songs. We felt like she was ready. We went in there and they said, when you have to grow this by 10 times, and you hit 600K and you have some more brand deals on the table, like it's a big numbers game now. They were like, we'd be doing you a disservice by signing you right now. He's like, we have 10 more of you that are signed to us, very similar, super talented, that we're telling them to do what basically everybody that comes in our doors is trying to do, and just get that one video to go viral on TikTok or get that big share from a big celebrity or something like that, where it's like you almost have to still go out and do it yourself. Even these artists are signed to labels and they're in the same boat as people that are doing it independently.
Man,
so it's like it's not the holy grail.
Everything is numbers. I remember being in a couple of offices with it was an A&R at Atlantic Records, Ron Stew.
Okay.
Ron Stew, and he was talking about the industry, and the first thing he does is pretty much like, all right, open up your social media.
That's it.
Let me see your numbers. Let me see your YouTube. Let me see your Instagram. Let me see your Facebook and MySpace. That was back in the days, the MySpace days. But it's all numbers.
Yep.
Even Webstar used to talk with Rich Dollars, and in the car, and I used to just listen to them and hear all the stuff that they used to say, and it's not what everyone else thinks it is.
Yep.
Everyone has this misconception of what the music industry is in their head, but the music industry is like a business. It's exactly like a business, and you have to treat it like a business.
And each singer is a business. You're a brand.
You're a brand.
You're trying to be a singer.
You're a brand on the shelf.
Yeah.
How are you gonna market that?
Product.
That's it. How you gonna market yourself? So
I think it's hard for like either a creative person or just a artist that's coming up to like wrap their head around that sometimes. Not everybody. Some people are good at it, but it's like you almost have to like tweak your brand to become something memorable. Like a Coca-Cola, you know what it is. It's the big red and black, and it's always been, and you know what you're getting out of it, and it's just like it's brandable and it's memorable. It's like that's exactly what an artist needs to be.
Yeah, that's it.
Something that stands out from the
rest.
Thousands of other people trying to do the same exact thing. It's just, it is literally a business.
Yeah, I feel like every artist should be building a team, build a solid team, and everyone should do their part and their diligence in what they're doing to further your career. If you're the brand, everyone got to put their egos aside and be like, all right, you're the brand, you're the one who's going to make it. All right, I'm going to do this. We're going to have a camera guy. We're going to have this person. We're going to have that person. Everybody's going to do something, get you out there, out the door. Now it's going to open up doors for everybody else who's on the team.
Exactly. It's the same as...
That's it.
So this is our business. This is a recording studio. It's our business. If we were just a recording studio, we probably would have failed 10 years ago. But we had to think and be creative and brand and market and come up with things that we would offer that are valuable to people. So now we're more than just a recording studio. We do artist development, we do music videos, we do photo shoots, we do...
That's dope.
That's the big thing. It's just like a one-stop shop for training artists. So the same exact mentality for an artist to have is exactly what you just said. I love that. Put together a team that's running your business.
That's
it's
it.
just the business of you. It just happens to be a person instead of a product.
That's it. If they just switch that into the same business model and do that and apply it to their career, it'll be good. I have a couple questions for you, man.
Okay.
I want to know your top 5 R&B singers.
Oh, God. Wow.
You got to have a top 5.
It's going to be hard to actually pick 5. So, oh, man. All right. So
who's your favorite?
Brandy. Brandy is one of my top
Oh, really?
favorite singers.
Brandy?
Yeah.
Okay. I would never thought you would have picked Brandy, but...
Yeah, no, but... And then, like I said, I was big on groups, but sometimes it's like the one member of the group. So Sean Stockman from Boyz II Men was always one of my top favorite singers. You had Wanye, who was like over the top and big in Boyz II Men, but Sean Stockman was the one like finessing it. So he was always one of my favorites.
That's 2.
Same thing
Your
from
third?
another group. Jazz. He was the big one in Drew Hill.
Okay.
I always loved his voice. Monica. So
right.
Brandy and Monica, that was a big...
Weren't they beefing at one point?
They were, yeah. They still might be to this day.
That's crazy.
They made the
R&B
song
beef.
The Boy's Mine or whatever, and I think it was about a true story. It must have been. But if you listen to their music... So what I love about Brandy is like... Her harmonies and her backgrounds are so crazy, and she pays so much detail to all the little attention like in the backgrounds. And that's one big thing. Like, you have to have an ear for harmonies. And if you do, a lot of times people come in and they'll just be like, do, 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 and sing a straight up harmony. But she, like, puts this crazy, intricate backgrounds in her stuff. And then she has that raspy tone, which, like, gives it, like, crazy texture. So that's her. Monica is just, like, effortless with her riffs and runs and everything.
They both were good. That was 3, right?
Oh, man.
That's 3 or 4?
This is hard to pick.
That's 3? That's 4.
This is impossible.
No, it's not impossible. You got one more.
You have your big obvious ones.
You got R. Kelly. You got Drew Hill. You had a bunch of other. Is it Drew Hill? We're naming some people that a lot of these.
I know they probably don't.
Yeah, they don't even know.
Songs are being sampled now, though.
Yeah, a lot
All
of
these songs are being taken again.
Need one more.
Man.
Another R&B.
Okay, yeah, I have to say. So Duran from 112. I think so. Those like full harmonies that 112 would have, like I see you looking at me, and it's like this big full sound. Most of that was him. He would layer his voice. So Michael Jackson used to do this too. Michael Jackson would layer his voice like 30 times. The guy Duran from 112 would layer it like 10 times, and it sounded like this like big crazy vocal, and that was a big part of the sound of 112 was his voice. So I think I gotta pick him, and he had a crazy range.
He was signed to Bad Boy, right?
Oh God, and I have to pick Brian McKnight.
Brian McKnight. Damn, I haven't heard of Brian McKnight in a long time. Nah,
Brian McKnight is out of control.
Yeah,
I can't narrow it down. I can't even narrow it down.
There was a lot of baby making music in the 90s, man. A lot of baby making music.
And that was just going off of 90s people. Like if we could go back to 80s, 70s, 60s, and you have like Smokey Robinson and Barry White and like
Luther Vandross.
And
Barry White, he just talked like, hey girls. That's his voice was like crazy. It was deep and the ladies loved it. So, but Donnie, man, it was a pleasure, man. Like this was you know what? Another thing I forgot to say the story of. I actually invited Donnie to basketball game. This was a celebrity game.
That might have been the last time I saw you, actually.
Yeah, I think it was. I invited Donnie. I was like, hey, I got this celebrity basketball game. It was for autism, and my guy Pop from Connecticut, shout out to Pop, and he ended up I was telling him, I was like, I may get Donnie. Is it all right? And you humble as you were and down to earth, and you were like, yeah, I'll go. Yeah, that was fun. And it was dope, man. Yeah. And I appreciate you even taking the time because we just literally, I think, met around that time. Yeah. And I'm over here asking you to see if you want to, and you were like,
It was awesome. Yeah,
and you showed up, and we played, and got some pictures and stuff. But I wanted to, actually thank you and stuff like that
for having me come out there. That was fun.
It's been a back and forth. We've been talking for the past 13 years, man, and the relationship has always been good. Yeah. And every time I reach out to you, you respond. So you're a good dude, man, and I appreciate everything.
Thanks. I follow everything you do too.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Connected Lens.
Yeah.
I see. I watch everything.
Thank you. But you want to tell the viewers like where they could find you and stuff like that. Give them your social media handles and your website or whatever projects and stuff you got.
Yeah. So you can find me Instagram at Donnie Klang. You spell it DonnieKlang. My TikTok, I actually through the pandemic, I call it at Baby in the Beat. At the time, I only had one baby. Now I have my 2 baby girls. If they end up watching this, hi London, hi Tay Tay. But Baby in the Beat, I had a couple little posts go viral because my daughters are just like adorable. So now I'm using them to help grow social media. And then you can find our studio. We're at Loft Sound Studio, and our website is www.theloftsoundstudio.com. And then I just want to say too about you, man. You're just like so inspiring, man.
Thank you, man.
So I watched. Do you know who Grant Cardone is?
Yeah.
So I watched.
I love listening to him.
There was a show called Undercover Billionaire or something, and it followed 3 like professional entrepreneurs that already made it, super wealthy. They took away their money and their phones, and they gave them $100 and dropped them in like no-name cities around the country. And it was a 1-season show about how can they build $1 million business in 90 days with just that. And his business ended up being a digital marketing business.
Oh yeah?
It reminds me like a lot about everything you're doing. And in 90 days, he ended up being the top one out of the 3 entrepreneurs. He built it to like a $5 million
Holy
business.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in 90 days, I'm going to have a $5 million.
90 days.
Yeah, you just put it out in the universe. So in 90 days, you hear that.
Existence.
$5 million in 90 days.
Yeah.
Nah, man. But last question. I know we're going to end it, but with you talking about TikTok and social media and stuff like that, I wanted to ask you, because I know you grew up in, I mean, your career started in that weird transition from before it started. It was starting to get into like reality TV. We haven't hit Instagram yet. We haven't really gotten TikTok and big on Facebook and stuff like that. Do you think now, from the industry, from being from where you came from to where it is now, do you think, you kind of missed out on that? Do you think 100%. Your career would be different with the social media? I
mean, if it had happened now, so it kind of did happen. I had a MySpace. My MySpace page had like 2 million followers on it.
You still get on MySpace?
No. And then
I don't even remember my password.
It got shut down, and then when it came back, everybody had to make new accounts, but nobody even went back on and made an account because now you had everything else, Twitter, Instagram. So those followers, that is a huge loss in value to a brand. If you think about that right now, these people that have like 10 million followers, 2 million followers, 500,000 followers on Instagram, that's a valuable brand. You could be getting endorsements from people, product placements, like you could be making money on that. That was definitely something we missed out on, and we just missed it. We were in a very weird point.
Yeah, you were.
Music in general, it was like people were on LimeWire, downloading stuff for free.
You were in that transition that you were right. You were right in the middle where it was like one foot was on this side, one foot was on this side. The industry was going digital, and you were right in the beginning of it. And
even a lot of that, the label spent probably stupid money on things for our careers that didn't make sense, but they didn't realize it at the time. Like putting out 200,000 CDs to stores across the country. It costs money to do that. So you're not going to recoup that money if those songs and CDs never sell. But then streaming wasn't what it was yet, and people weren't yet buying stuff on iTunes. So it was just, we got lost in that like cloud of the late 2000s.
Look, you're here for a reason, doing what you're doing here. This is a beautiful, I mean, I wish everyone can see this place. This is amazing. Like the creativeness in this place is every creative person's dream to be in something like this. I would have a field day just having videos and pictures and taking all the content, creating content all day. This thing here that you just popped out of, that I thought it was a soda machine, and you just came out of it and it was a door. It was like a speakeasy door. But it's a dope spot, man. Thanks, and I wanna give you your flowers, man. But you know what I'm saying? Doing the things you're doing, helping all the people you're helping, just being a genuinely good person. And actually, the relationship we had for the past 13 years, I want to say, and it's always been good, man. And just keep doing what you're doing, man.
Thanks,
you're a good, solid dude, man.
Thank you, dude.
So, and this place is gonna blow up. So,
thanks.
In a good way. So, all right, man. All right. So, all right, guys, we'll see you. We're out.
I don't got time for a hater. Only got time for the paper.